guys, it's Natalie. Welcome to my channel. Happy not 4th of July. This is supposed to be going out on the 4th of July, but as usual, I am late. I got so wrapped up in this look, which by the way, I'm happy with it. What do you think? I like it. Got so wrapped up in it, I forgot to film. And my camera's dying, so if this dies, we will continue tomorrow because I'm not waiting for it to charge and all that. But anyway, how's everyone's week going? I hope wonderful. I hope you had a nice 4th of July. We are gonna do a little get unready with me instead of a get ready with me because I'm dying to take this makeup off. A couple minutes is pretty much all I can do in makeup. Not a makeup person, believe it or not. So yeah, we are gonna get unready and I am going to tell my story. So I was talking about, before I had said that I was just gonna tell stories about the time of my addiction because that time period in my life just has so many stories. And a major part of it is my, the worst parts of it. And then there were times that I overdosed. So during my addiction, I never overdosed until my relapse after Sean died. And so I was thinking and I thought that there were 3, but there were actually 4. 3 were all in the same week. They were at the very end of my using spree. So I'm gonna go over each one of those separately in a video. I don't know if this video is gonna stay up. I don't know, but I'm gonna post it. The first one that we're gonna do is I feel like the least of all of them, but not that any are the least. And here's something else I have to explain about addiction. So when you overdose, that doesn't really mean that you need Narcan every time. There's when you're an addict, you could say oh, I fell out or something, but that doesn't really, you can use different terminology. There are times that I pretty much fall out, but I wake right back up, or I wake up later, but it's not an overdose. Now, during the overdose we're going to talk about, not all times did I have to get Narcan, but these were 4 actual overdoses. And when I say that, oh my god, I just ripped out all my lashes with that, I think. There was a significant difference with these compared to the other times I may have just passed out or something. These were overdoses. I can't explain it. You feel totally different. There's just this feeling and you know that that's what it was once you come to. So I'm just going to talk about the first one here today. And another thing I want to say, when I talk about my addiction and whatnot, guys, all of this, the whole point of me talking about my addiction and my past is because I want you guys to understand how bad it was. When I say things, and I'm not doing it to toot my own horn or something like that, I'm telling you, when I say I came so far so quickly, I'm not making it up. I went from literally dying behind a dumpster and into doing this in a year's time. I don't know, something changed in my brain. And anybody who knows me knows before I never totally fell off the wagon, and then I did with this last relapse. And I truly think that people started losing faith and were I don't think she can come back for it. I think I was just very severe. So for me to be at that level and then where I'm at now, I'm just so grateful. And when I say where I'm at now, I mean on so many levels. Success-wise with a career, just a career I like. Mental success, just not being totally crazy, just being more mature, thinking more mature. Yeah, there's a lot I have to work on, but there's a lot. I've came really far. And that's why I want to talk about my stuff, because there is nobody, like, I guess I do get angry with people, and that's something I have to watch, like when they're still using, because I have to think like, well, I was there at one time. We just have to keep encouraging them, because anybody can change and make that change mentally, and I don't know what causes it, but it has to be something internal. It's like one day you just wake up and you're like, oh my god, I don't want this anymore. And it's a lot of work to make the switch, but it's doable. It truly, truly is doable. So with that being said, we're going to talk about the first time I overdosed. So my mom, did I explain this? Okay, so I told you guys about my charges. So I was on probation. I had gone in and out of rehab. That's another thing we can talk about on my rehab stays and stuff one day. But I was going in, like, I relapsed when Sean died. I was using pretty much straight through until March. Went in and out of rehab a bunch of times from March until like August, and I couldn't get clean. And one day my mom called my PO and was like, I don't care what you do with her, just get her out of my house. I don't want her here. Oh, there's a story with that too. We'll save that for another time. Well, long story short, I was waiting at home for my PO to get me a bed in this halfway house. He ended up hurrying that along, which I'll tell you about one day. But while I was waiting, at the very end, I want to say it was like the week before I went in, I overdosed 3 times. So the first one was, I was using, and I was really sneaking around at this point, because like I didn't want to use. I was like losing my mind at this point, and I would be like, I don't want to use, like, here are my debit cards, and like give my parents all my debit cards and all my money, and that's another story too. I would like write checks. We won't get into it, but like it was crazy. So somehow I ended up, I think I was like fighting with my parents, and I ended up saying like, you know what, I need to get out of the house. I'm going down to this bar to like eat dinner and talk to somebody. It was like a bar restaurant, and I felt like my dad like followed me or like drove down there or something, and he saw that I was really there, and then they like believed me at one point, and they called me, and they like believed that I was like not doing anything wrong, and I had used earlier in the day, I know for sure. So I get there and I meet up with this guy, and I think I wanted to get stuff off of him, but he like couldn't get it or something. So I end up, so he has a friend with him, this like really rich girl who like randomly does all types of crazy drugs. She has this, and that's what I mean, it does not discriminate. She, like, if you looked at her Facebook, she's like this like socialite, like in these like, went to this academy that's super expensive, and this like expensive college, and has all these like socialite friends, and I'm like, wow, I'm like in the trap house with her, doing dope, like, and she had her kid at one. How did that happen? Because I don't think she had her kid to start with, but she had her kid with, like, it was crazy. So he somehow, like, I'm with him at the bar, and she comes and like meets us there, and we're all hanging out, and somehow the person I usually get stuff from ended up like coming through. So I was like, we need to go get this. So the town that I'm kind of like by, I would get a lot of stuff in. There were a couple places I went, but then there's a really not, it's just a bad town. It's full of drugs across the river. And I was like, we gotta go there to blank to go get this stuff. So she drives us somehow, because I think I had totaled all my cars. Yeah, I had totaled them all at that point, so I didn't have a car. I don't even know. I had totaled all my cars, so I don't even know how I got down there. I guess I walked. I would do crazy stuff like that, like walk at that point. So she drove us. We got the stuff. And like I said, I had used earlier in the day. And then we were at the bar, and I didn't even drink because I hated drinking at that point. I just wanted to use. So I had like one drink probably, if that, and then we got the stuff and I was like, okay, I just want to use. So we went back to the guy who I was with, let's call him Joe, and her Sally. No, let's call him Jack and her Sally. So we went back to Jack's apartment, and we get there, and I am someone where when I am using, it's like I get my stuff ready, I use, I sit there, and I'm like, I gotta use again. Like when I use the first time, not for the day, just the first time in that little like session, I gotta use like 2 times right in a row. And then after that, I still keep using like every half an hour. Like, I'm crazy. So I used, and like I was okay, and we're all like sitting there. This is gonna tell you just how people on drugs really are. So I use, and we're sitting there, and then I use again. And I remember he had like said he was going to the bathroom, or she was going to the bathroom, but they had like left the room, and I think her son was there suddenly, but he wasn't there for the whole time. That's why I'm confused. Maybe he was, because it was a bar restaurant. I don't know, but it was weird. So anyway, at that time, I could have cared less. I mean cared less as in like I wasn't paying attention. Like I was one track mind to getting my stuff. I could have like Johnny Depp and Clint Eastwood and Tom Hanks and Angelina Jolie could have all been sitting there with me, and I wouldn't have really known. So I use, and they're like out of the room, and then I used again, and they said they heard a thud. Well, she didn't say, because I never saw her again. She left while I was overdosing. So he said they heard a thud, and they walk in, and I was slumped on the floor, and he's like, oh my God. But anyone who uses with me knows that I tend to overdo it. So at first, I think he just thought that I like fell asleep, because I was just nodding out nonstop. Like that's what I would do at that point of my using. Like I would just be sleeping pretty much the whole time you're with me, and I would like wake up, we would talk like a couple words, and I'd just be like out again. So I think he thought I just fell asleep. I do know that the child was there at that point, because I remember him saying she left because her kid was there and didn't want him to see it. It's like, but wasn't he there during the use? Like, that's why I'm not understanding. But I know that she left because of that. So it's like, oh, I'm just gonna, whatever, this girl's dying, let her go. Like, I understand you had your kid there, but like, if I experienced that, and like she wasn't even into, like that's what she was like, doesn't make sense to me, because she was not like using like that. She just liked crack. But if I had not really been super into heroin and never seen an OD or never seen anything like that, and that happened, I would have been getting in contact with that person after and being like, oh my God, are you okay? I can't believe, like, that's just me though. I don't think I ever talked to her. I think I have her on Facebook, but we never talked again. So he said he started trying to wake me up, and I wouldn't wake up. And then he was like, oh shit, like this is serious. So he was like climbing on top of me, like hitting me, like trying to get me up. And he said that I was out for like 20 minutes, which that's way too long. Like you should have called a while. If that would have been a full-blown like OD, I could have died in that time period. But he didn't call. So when I woke up, he was on top of me like, Natalie. And my first reaction was like, dude, what are you doing? Get off me. I don't want to hook up with you. And he's like, what? You overdosed? And I'm like, oh, like I had no idea. I literally thought he was like trying to get with me, and I had fallen asleep on the kitchen floor, like, so that's what I mean. Like, you're totally oblivious to it. I guess he said he was just about to call. He had went and like flushed all my stuff because he was gonna call, and he didn't want to get in trouble. And he kind of like would let girls like use him. So other girls who like used and frequented using, he would like have like stay there. I think. And I think he had called recently about an overdose. So he was like, oh my God, I'm gonna call again, like freaking out. But it doesn't matter. You should have called and then worried about that. Like for me, I don't care if I have charges. I don't care if I'm gonna go to jail. Like if somebody is dying in front of me, and no, I'm not just saying this because I'm clean. Even if I was full blown using, if someone was dying in front of me, that would have been my first priority. I have never witnessed a full blown OD. One time somebody had like a seizure, I think, but I didn't know what it was, but like it happened so quickly and then it just stopped. I was like in full panic, like, and I wasn't thinking like, where's the dope? I need to hide it. Like all I was like, I couldn't think to call the cops because I was like frozen, but I knew I had to. But like during extreme panic, I freeze up. Like one time my son choked and I froze up. I ended up doing the right thing, but at first I froze up. So another thing I wanted to say was during 3 of my times when I came to, somebody else was there, like whether it was him or another friend or like a parent. The one time it was just like cops, which they're just kind of like don't care, but the other time there was always somebody that I was like acquainted with or close to. And when you come to, the fear that you see in that other human that is with you is unlike any fear you've ever seen in your life. Even when it was the kid who I think almost left me to die, which we will get to that too. Even though I don't know what he was going to do and I don't think it was going to be the right thing, his fear, like his voice, like just, he was shaking and trembling, and like his voice was just cracking, like, because whether they're going to do the right or wrong thing, you're seeing somebody potentially die or committing an extreme crime if you're going to leave them that could change your entire life. Like, I know for me, if I was there and I thought someone was dying, I couldn't even imagine. Like when I came to, this is someone who's very laid back, very relaxed. I've never seen any real emotion out of. The fear I saw in him, I can't even explain to you. It's not even able to be expressed unless you are experiencing it. That's how extreme it was. And that was the first time. And I remember coming to and just starting to bawl my eyes out. Just bawl my eyes out. And I called my parents and I was like, I just overdosed, you have to come get me. And they did, and they weren't like, I thought they were gonna be like, oh my God, you almost died, like all worried, but it was almost like a mean worried, which now like it makes sense, but I don't know, I don't think it does to me, because like if it would have been Sean, like I don't know, because if you know someone is that close to dying, like sometimes the stuff just goes out the window and you just are so worried about them. But yeah, so my parents ended up coming to get me, and I called them, and I just remember bawling, and my dad came to pick me up and drove me home. And I remember I kept crying, and they were just like, well, then you shouldn't be doing, like, I don't remember, but it wasn't like what I was expecting or something. And with that, we will leave off, because you would think I just overdosed, first time, thought I was gonna lose my life, bawling my eyes out, call my parents to come get me, not gonna use again, right? Not the case. So we'll leave off there. That was a lot. Not gonna lie, that was a lot. I can't wait to go upstairs, wash my little face, dermaroll. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna retinol and use, oh my God, I can't wait to show you my new moisturizer. And I think I might crawl into Sean's bed. Sometimes I love sleeping with him. It's the only time I can get them to cuddle. So anyway, yes, so there is story time, super intense, and that's the most mild of the 4. So get ready. You know the drill. Like this video or don't, I don't know. Subscribe to my channel, head to my Insta. I have a new makeup giveaway up. It's actually skincare, 2 winners. I always have one on my Instagram. And also, guys, I DM the winner the first of every month. When a new giveaway goes up, that means the winner has already been DM'd and selected. I always have to say it. So yeah, I think that's it. Happy 4th. That was a very morbid happy 4th video, but I'm sorry, it's how I do things. Love you guys. Bye!